So a couple of questions, nice questions had come up. And one of them was that, like, if we were talking about desires, that what desires do and what are the outcomes once you have the desires. And a spiritual person eventually will be rising above the desires. And the whole mechanism is not that easy to understand, but at the same time, it is the crux of Bhagavad Gita. So that's the Karmyog of Krishna. And that it's kind of difficult to understand because Krishna is saying the karma kar par phal ki asha mat rakh. Just do and devote everything to me. It's easier saying than done, but most of the people will say, well, I am doing all the work. Why should I give you the fall? Maybe I'll send 1% or 10% to the temple, but why don't I deserve the work, the reward for the work I did? So that's a logical argument coming from the sansaric point of view. And no question about it, that is expected. That's how the whole sansar works. People work and they expect the results. And there is nothing wrong with that. We need to work. There is no question about it. And we do need the rewards. Nobody wants to work for free. So Raj was saying that supposing somebody wants to, say, become an engineer in Tesla factory. So what's wrong with that? Nothing is wrong with that. All the ambitions and desires that arise out of your needs are good for you. Supposing there was a need for the money and you didn't do anything, you had no walk around without desires, nothing is going to happen. So we need to realize that there are three basic gunas that we all live in. And these gunas are in a stepwise fashion. There is one is tamas that we know. Tamas is where you want to obtain everything from the society, but you don't want to do anything. So that's their basic tendency is to do as minimum work as possible and maximize the rewards from the society. That's the tamasic tendencies. Then there is a rajas. Rajas is where they say, okay, I'm ready to work. I want to do things, but I want the rewards. So that's a little higher level. Capitalism, America taught everybody, no, you got to work. You got to work. You can't just sit home and then keep collecting the welfare checks and things like that, right? And so, and the third one is tapas. Tapas is the highest state where you want to offer yourself to the world and you don't want anything back. So those are the three gunas in which we all were born with. And don't think that you have only one or the other. We have all three gunas within us. And at different time of the day, different time of your state of mind, it keeps on going back and forth. And in that time, one of those gunas will come into action. Sometimes you're tired from the work and you just want to relax. You don't want to do anything. That's a tamasic tendency. Nothing wrong with that also, because you need to work and then you need to relax. So same thing, rajasic tendency is where you want to go and you want to work and you want to collect the money, where majority of the people in the world will say that. But then sometimes you will be like crossing the road and there is a blind man standing next to you and you know that he needs help and you're doing it, just not expecting anything out of it. You just feel for the guy and you help him. And that's your tapasic tendency. And so we are born with and all three are within us. But whatever we have, what is the preponderance of it? That's what decides what we're going to do in the world. So whether we'll be just sitting home and expecting the welfare checks, or we're going to go to work and try to find the job and collect all the money. And the third one is where you just devote your whole life to the world, become a sannyasi and just keep whatever, in whatever your capacity. So we don't know what we were born with in the various proportion we are born with. So one of those gunas will be predominant in you. So yes, when a kid is studying and he's coming out of engineering and he wants a job in a respectable company, there is nothing wrong with that. After all, he's gonna be needing his needs, personal needs, roti, kapda, makan. All those things are necessary in the world, and without filling your stomach, you cannot go into spirit. spirituality. So spirituality is a separate issue altogether. So if you really realize that if a kid wants to go to, I'm going to mute the back noises at least. So if anybody wants to talk, they can just press on the space bar. So the thing is, like, the guy, he settles down in his job and then settles with his family. How is he going to take care of his family? So money is important. Poverty is not compatible really with the spirituality to some extent. And at the same time, we have seen people that even in your poverty, like Narsi Mehta, for example, was one of the poorest guys, but he was the most religious and very spiritual guy. So again, it all depends what gunas you are born with. And that's what really decides what you're going to do in life. So nobody's saying that don't have any desires, walk without desires. No, fulfilling your basic needs is a necessity, and you have to do it. And it's actually one of those 5 dharmas. Krishna says you have to do it. And what are your dharmas? Like, if you are born as a male, you have to be the best son possible, best brother, best father, best husband. And then the 5th one is you have to be the best in what you're doing. What profession you choose, you have to be the best in it. You have to prove yourself. So for all those purposes, so fulfilling your dharmas includes your making a good living, good career, and dedicated job that you do, and all those things, and rewards will come to you. And this is where the intricate differences comes in. And that's why I'm trying to explain. So I'll give you an example. Say there is a guy, he works for a shoe factory, right? And he goes to work every day. He's just living by himself. He doesn't have that much need for the money. So he says, okay, I'll come Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. And his boss says that, but you have to do some extra time, overtime, because our orders are coming right and left, and you really need to help us out. Boss, no, I'm fine. I'm making enough, and find somebody else. I cannot do. So his needs are limited. He lives according to that. So at some point, he decides to get married. Then he has a couple of children. Now, so far he was living for himself. Now he has a wife and children. So he expands. His need has expanded. So what he will do is he will go to the boss and he says, boss, give me some extra overtime. I want to work because I have to take care of my family. And boss is happy because he has a lot of overtime. A lot of orders are coming in. So he says, okay, come, I'll be happy. So that way now he's expanding his territory. He's not just working for himself. He's working for his wife and children for their education. So this way he's expanding internally, that he has considered himself as responsible, his dharma, to take care of his family, which is good. So all these things are needed. Now, 5, 10, 15 years goes, and then somehow one day he's sitting there. He has a very comfortable lifestyle. Wife, children are taken care of. And then he's sitting at home and thinking that I'm making these shoes. Who am I making for? And these are a lot of people will be wearing these shoes, and they may be walking in who knows what kind of places they'll be looking for walking in. There may be a lot of diabetics. They need to protect their feet with these shoes. And there may be some very poor people in the poor countries. And if I don't make good shoes, they may be hurting themselves. Diabetics, if they get hurt in their feet and they get infected, they may end up losing their leg. So no, let me do this. I really want to make sure that I make the best shoes in the world, right? Now he has expanded to a state for the people who he does not even know. So he goes to his boss and he tells his boss, I want to do even more extra hours on Sunday. Even if the factory is closed, I want to come and just want to check the quality of my work. The boss says, but that's against the rules. You can come, but I'm not going to pay you. He says, no problem. I'll still come. Now he has expanded himself to the higher level. So these are the different levels of gunas gonna manifest. He will be very happy with the tamas group, tamas level, just taking care of himself, just the basic. And then he went to rajas, then he went to tapas level. So same way, the industrial countries, it's all goes according to the collar system, right? There is a white collar, there is a blue collar, and they say there is a pink collar. So pink collar is like go and come back Monday to Friday. They leave Friday to Friday, use up everything. They come back again to work. So those also have their own place. So that's the pink collar worker. Then there is a blue collar workers. They're hardworking. They're taking care of their families and they want to make a decent living. And the white collar are the one who are pragmatic. They're doing the strategies. They're doing the much higher level of managements and all that. Now, who will you see at Friday night, midnight? The white collar, because he really cares for his job. So he has a passion. Whole factory, he himself is a whole factory. Whatever is happening in the factory, he's going to take care of it. He's going to be always there. So that's a tapas level of activity that you can do. So because at that level, don't have a desire of anything for yourself. Your passion becomes your desire. And like I said, everybody starts their life at the their needs level, rajasic level, if at least most of us who are educated and they want to work, they want to collect the money and all that. But at some point, your consciousness starts expanding. And when it starts expanding, you start looking around, what else is there? And that's when you start rising higher spiritually. And that's when you start connecting. So what is the end point? I wouldn't say end point. In spirituality, there is no end point. That from the higher level of spirituality, whatever is spoken, and if you try to interpret at the basic level, it's not going to work. For that, you have to meditate and you have to go on a spiritual part to understand. And whether it will happen or not, I don't know. Krishna says it's like a spiritual bird. Spirituality is like a flower bird sitting in you. When it will open, nobody knows. He says, I don't even know. It's very mysterious how it opens up and how it ends up coming in your life and how it takes over your life. Nobody knows. Now, you can try to explain your previous lives, karmas, and this and that, but really doesn't matter. Why discuss all these things and why it opens up, why it opened? It's irrational. You cannot rationalize anything. And believe me, I have gone through a lot of things like this, and then there is no way to explain it, why it happened. It just happens. When I started my practice, and just like any other doctors, like, okay, I have to collect this, I have to check the balance and bank balance and how much I'm collecting from the insurance company, this and all those things are necessary. I was an immigrant. I had to build up my career and settle down. And one day, suddenly, I came across a shlok from Vivek Chudamani. And they said, I quote this quite a bit, is that a king without a kingdom and a soldier without a shield is not a king and not a soldier. That revolutionized my mind completely. So if you take the kingdom away from the king and let him stand there, and take the shield and weapons and everything from the soldier, let him stand next to each other, you can't tell the difference. So what does that mean? Kingdom makes the king. The weapons makes the soldier. So I applied that philosophy in my life. I said, doctor is not a doctor without patience. So without patience, what am I going to do? Walk around with stethoscope? No patience. So doctor is also, so it sounds spiritual and all that, but that was a turning point. But the turning point is not just rising from the, say, rajas level, because I was working hard, collecting money and all that, to the tapas level that now I want to see where my patients are coming. Patients are as important as me. So I started taking more and more interest in my own patients, how they're coming, what field they're coming in, what kind of work they're doing. And little by little, my concentration started shifting from me to the patients and the totality. That experience was very joyful. And at that point, I didn't care if somebody paid me or not. And everybody is familiar with the way I practice. Anytime somebody has any kind of questions or anything, I said, you know what? Take the last appointment. Last appointment meant that I will sit with that patient for extended period of time. And that means the girls knew that they could go, no problem. And it may take me half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour to explain where your problem is. And this is what you need to do. My wife may be waiting at home, but this was my passion. And I did it. And there was when you are doing something with the passion, your reward is right there. The doing an activity in passion is a reward right there. Now, who do you think gave you the reward? Krishna. Krishna does not hold any debt. He says, don't worry about the fall. Just do your dharma, whatever your duties are. And one of those duties are be the best doctor possible, be the best husband, be the best wife, be the best child. All these things, you do it, that is provided to you by nature, and then profession you have chosen. So yes, everything starts as desire, but that's a samsaric way of life. But little by little, you need to expand. And this expansion, how it's going to come in your life, the fact that people are in this group alone itself is an initiating factor. That does not mean everybody will go on that path either. But this is a starting point, and then there are maybe so many different starting points. You need to have an open eye and realize where the spirituality is trying to spring in your life. And whole life goes, you keep on learning all the time. And every, even tiny incidents can make a major impact at any level, even today. I'll tell you the incidents that happened today. But before that, I'll talk to you about my grandson, Kunal. So he was very young at that time. He was like 2-year-old, 3-year-old. And he was lying on the ground. He's offering me a toy. I'm standing there. And his toy is typically all slithered with saliva and everything. And he wanted me to play with it. And I said, I can't. I said, okay, no problem. It's okay. You play. Suddenly I saw the shock in his eyes. He said, Dada, why doesn't he want to play with me? And I saw that amazing feeling on his. I sat down, and he was just so happy that I was playing with him. And he gave me the same slithered toy, and I took it and I played with him. So for understanding the innocence, you have to be at that level. And level is level. Friends are made only at a level. You cannot say that I am superior or I am inferior. Friendship does not happen. So the same way, patients and doctors, if they are at the same level, then the spirituality blooms. Then the fallout happens, and the waves spread, and the joy spreads. And that's how their lives are filled with joy. My lives are filled with joy. And my secretaries also got this message that this is how our office is going to be. And that's how, at that point, you're not even working for money anymore. You're just giving it yourself out, and there is a joy everywhere. So this is the whole purpose of explaining this in this meeting, that why there cannot be anything wrong with desires when you are in a starting point and you need to establish your careers. You should do your best, no question about it, and give your 100%. But little by little, also simultaneously, if you start going within with meditation, and then that expansion you can understand. But believe me, even meditation is not enough, but your life experiences can teach you so much more than even meditation, and definitely not the books. Books cannot teach you anything. You can read them, and of course you meditate them also. But one thing for sure, how the meditation helps is that life incidences do happen all the time to all of us. But when you are meditating, you have started grasping the depth of these experiences. So meditation makes you a better perceiver, that you can perceive the hidden messages that the consciousness is trying to send them to you. So that's all I can say. Meditation is not the only tool that can revolutionize your life, but simultaneously it will change everything. So that is how the life is. There's today's incidents. Yeah. So I was at Zuchi. Is on Fridays I go to volunteer. at Zuchi Foundation. It's a Buddhist foundation. There's no temple or anything. They're just, Zu means charity, and uh, uh, and Chi means is compassion. So they have a monk. She's 93-year-old. Based on her advice, the whole foundation was started. It's a very well spread, international and all that. I just started going there as a food pantry, and just to help the people out to load the food in their car and things like that. So today, and I didn't realize, and I do know now, that there are some of the staff over there are actually nuns and priests, and you can tell. So one lady, her name is Doris. She's very interesting, very elderly lady, but very gentle, very compassionate and all that. So I was really trying, because I handle a big operation of stocking all this for one family, two family, all the boxes and all that. So I'm going back and forth. So there were some extra boxes that Doris asked me, said, Dr. Shah, do you want me to keep them here, or I take them inside? I said, no, leave them here. I might be able to use them. So she put a couple of boxes in her hand down on the ground. And then I did the same thing, but I was standing. I dropped them on the ground. It was a major shock for her. Dr. Shah, this also has life in it. Be gentle. Even today, I had to rethink. I said, Doris, you're right. Sometimes in a rashness, we do things that we don't even mean anything, but we don't care. So I was just throwing the boxes and went. So I learned a big lesson. It really helped me a lot to understand. And if you can respect even a box, how will you not respect a human being? Whatever kind, whatever religion, whatever age would that be, right? So this is how, like I said, that there are things to learn in life, but your depth has to be there, and that meditation provides that depth. So my answer is in my talk. So if there are any questions, I'm going to unmute everyone. So if any interactive discussion, we can talk. Anybody has any other questions? Urmilbai is here, right? Urmilbai had issues with the job. He had the same question. He says,
yes,
right? How do I apply this?
absolutely. That's what I was going to ask.
Yes, I know. I remember your question. So let
Yeah.
me give you an example. And I give this example to everybody. And yeah, I mean, sometimes it may seem like the spirituality is not practical, but in the long run, sometimes if you really reflect deeply, it really applies to, I would say, 99% of the situations, I would say. To give you an example, if there is a plumber, so if I call a plumber and I dial him and he says, okay, well, to come over, I'll charge $150. And then that would be for 1 hour. And then anything additional, I'll charge you $50 for every 15 minutes or something like that. He doesn't even want to hear what the problem is. He says, okay. I say, well, come take a look at it. So he comes and fixes it and all that. The bill is $170. Then he says, oh, there is a leakage there, but it will be a separate issue. So if you want me to fix it, it'll be another $100. This, fine, no problem. I had no choice. It didn't happen. I'm just giving an example. There may be another plumber. When he calls and you ask him, how much is your price? He says, Doc, don't worry about it. Let me just take care of your problem. Your basement is flooded. I want to come help you out. I'll take care of it. No problems. He comes, charge is the same. Then on the way out, he sees there is a leakage there. He says, you know what? This thing is going to hurt you in the long run. Let me just fix it up. You don't have to pay me, but make sure, because I'm here, so I want to. Who are you going to call next? Like that. So a spiritual way of living life, that's why Krishna says that you devote your fall to me, and I will take care of yoga and kshema both. You would not have to worry about it. Money will follow you wherever you go. So yoga kshema, I don't know if everybody knows the meaning of it. Yoga means trying to connect with whatever. Yoga does not always means connecting with the higher self or nothing like that. Connect with anything. You connect with ice cream, that's also yoga. Or you connect with drugs, that's also yoga. Basically, you leaving your home base and walking out to connect anywhere, try to obtain it, that's yoga. money, acquiring money, is also connecting with money. So that's yoga. So we go to school, we go through the exams, competitive exams, compete with each other, and go up, compete for the colleges, and finally we come out, and then finally we get a job, and first check comes in. We went through almost 25 years of training, and that was at the end, there was that one check. So our yoga finished, which started 25 years ago, because during that time we didn't make a single penny, right? So yoga means to connect with whatever you want, whether you want an object or a person or a situation. Okay, so once you got those, whatever you wanted, the next phase start is kshema. Kshema means now you have some money. Say you have $10,000. Now you have to worry about it, that make sure you keep it in a safe place. Make sure that you make getting the maximum interest. Make sure that nobody takes it away. Or who knows, by the end of your life, you have enough that you have to worry about, who do I give it to? How does it matter? If you did not go through the efforts to connect with it, the yoga, the kshema would not have to be worried about it either. So yoga and kshema is a vicious circle. You run after an object, and then once that object is achieved, to hold on to that object falls under kshema. So yoga kshema is a vicious circle. So spirituality says that whole world is doing either yoga or kshema or both. And this is the vicious circle Krishna says that I can get you out of it. You'll start living at a higher level of life spiritually in a true sense, not going to the temples and all those things, obviously. Understand me, go within, find me, and spend time with me. Arjuna and Krishna were friends. So soul is our Krishna. We are the Arjuna. We need to play with him to understand what his characteristics are. What are the great qualities he has to teach us or offer us? And you do that, and he says, then leave it up to me. Everything will be taken care of. And real life example, I had one patient. He was almost like 70, 72-year-old, came to see me, and he had a big boil on his back, right? So I looked at it. I started him on antibiotics. It wasn't ready to be lanced. I said, if I lance it right now, it'll be very painful. So let's not do it right now. I gave him antibiotics. He left. And at that time, I used to live in my house and office combination. So I used to live right there. So he calls around 11:30 at night. He calls me, and all my patients had my cell number. He calls me. He said, Dr. Shah, it just burst open. It's like pus all over. I need to see you. And I was playing chess with my son. So I said, all right, no problem. Come over. So he came over. I cleaned out everything. And then he says, how much do I owe you? And in those days, it was not like that we had to submit to the claims to the insurance. People pay you, give them receipt, and they submit like that, right? So I said, well, I can't charge you. It's not even 24 hours yet. This is just same day. Whatever I charge you for, he says, but I can't charge you again. It's just not right. He says, what kind of doctor are you? He says, you're seeing patient twice, you're charging only once, and you don't even care, and waking up at 11:30 at night. And I said, well, this is my policy. This is how I work. Don't worry about it. So he left, and he was so happy. And then his wife changed her records, then his daughter, and then his son, then the daughter-in-law and son-in-law, and all that. And then he moved to Florida. Sitting in Florida, he used to ask, says, where are you from? Oh, I'm from New Jersey. Oh, go to Dr. Shah. He must have sent me about 35 patients in his lifetime. It was a very funny thing. But this is what I'm saying. Living an ethical life, a hard, industrious life, and devoting to the highest possible cause, like that shoe salesman. When he devoted himself, he had a joy. He would not be working for it. He was coming, even though he was not getting paid. He was coming on Sunday to keep an eye on his quality of his work. So this is how things should work out. Osho always gave a very good example. He says, one time I was walking and there was a temple being built. So one guy was chipping the stones, and he was very angry looking. And so I asked him, he said, what are you doing? And the guy got so angry. He says, don't you see? I'm breaking the stones. I need some food, right? So I have to do it. So Osho says, I went on. It's a story. And there was another guy doing the same thing, not happy, but just keep doing it. He was calm. I asked him, he says, what are you doing? He says, I'm breaking the stone, so at the end of the day, I can get some salary so I can take care of my wife and children. And then he moves on. And the third guy is doing the same thing. And then he's singing, he's so happy, and he's singing all devotional songs. And so he asked him, he says, what are you doing? Why you look so happy compared to those two guys? He says, don't you see? I'm building a temple. He is doing it for the God. He's doing for a higher purpose. Everybody is going to get paid the same amount of salary. They are all doing the same thing, but it's a different outlook. So this is what happens in the spirituality. Your outlook changes. So this is in a nutshell. All right. So I'll close it for now, unless anybody has any questions. So otherwise, I'll record and I'll post it. Everything good?
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
Take care. Bye now.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.